442 project is back, and this time it gets a new engine. The owner wanted to match the more modern transmission with a more modern LS engine. So the girls show you what it takes to put a new power plant in this classic car, and we might even get a chance to fire it up.
And welcome to All Girls Garage. You may recognize this car. This is a 71 Cutlass that was in the shop last year. We were doing a transmission conversion, and Cristy may have made some promises or alluded to the fact that this might be coming back again.
This car could possibly have the potential to come back at some point because the owner wants to continue to do upgrades on this, and they want to maybe even consider doing an engine swap, which we mentioned before.
And then lo and behold, we actually fulfilled our promise this time. It is back. Now, you might have noticed that there's no engine in here.
What did you say?
There's Faye in here.
How's it going, Bogi?
Going fantastic. What you doing in there, girl?
I'm just really stoked about having this thing back. Remember, like last time we were talking about how this engine just kind of was lousy. It was low on compression. There was so much we wanted to do to this car aside from just the transmission swap.
Yeah.
And it was actually a really freaking difficult swap. I mean, there was just so much more that we had to do to this thing than we
were
expected.
getting close, though.
Yeah,
we
we almost finished it.
We had the engine, we had the transmission in, we were getting ready to cut the hole in the tunnel for the transmission shifter and everything to fit properly. We didn't have time to show you everything, but we were getting there. We were getting really close. And then our customer calls right as we're almost there and says, "Stop the press. I want to put an engine in too." So we yanked everything out again, and this has been sitting in the corner until she has been ready to pull the trigger on her brand new engine.
Got the new engine over there,
Would you
right?
like a hand getting out of there,
Yes, I
darling?
would. Thank you, thank you. Here goes.
Okay, let's check it out.
Check it out. Isn't it so pretty?
Oh my goodness. It's a thing of beauty.
This is an LS3, however, it's not just any LS3. It has a GM block, but it has proprietary heads from the engine builder, as well as a cam. So this is putting out way more horsepower than standard LS3 would. Standard, I think, is 420-ish, and this one is over 500, like 530 horsepower. Pretty nice. It even says so right there.
Oh, yes. And over here it says 495 foot-pounds of torque. So
Yeah, if you got it, flaunt it.
Man, pretty impressive. One cool thing that I really like about this is this actually looks like the exact same color as the car.
Yeah, now the color code, and this is not the original color of that car, so we wound up having to do a sample to get the code and get it painted, but I think it's a nice little addition
Oh my
to
gosh,
really spruce
absolutely.
it up.
Yeah, this thing is like beautiful. Look at the nice pulleys. I like how like everything is like flat black, silver, and the blue. It really matches the car really nicely.
It's gonna
This
be
looks freaking
beautiful.
gorgeous. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to get this thing installed.
I know.
So
Well, of course, the question is how.
that's a good question. I think there's a kit for this.
There is. It's called LS in a Box. No, it totally is.
Oh, really?
It's called LS in a Box, and it is from Original Parts Group.
Oh.
And that's kind of the cool thing. There's a lot of debate, and people will argue all day long about to LS, not to LS. Is an LS swap a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Oh,
How
please,
do you
we
feel
debated
about
about it.
We debate it. You know, there's a ton of different opinions, but I think one of the main reasons why LS swaps are so popular is because there is so much support for them. You can get a swap in a box that's specific for the engine, the vehicle, and the type of transmission you're using. If you need a specific oil pan, the exhaust manifolds, all of the gaskets and the bolts and the engine mounts, and really everything that you're going to need to do this swap without any of the guesswork. Ratchet! I've got a bolt. It's still in there. Can you push it back there?
Sorry. Mine is yours.
Wouldn't you like, if you could have like any superpower, wouldn't you want just like magical bolt doing and undoing fingers?
God, yes. I see you.
Let's see. I think that's gonna be good, though. I don't know what you think about that, but. All right, so we got our mounting brackets on the body side situated. Left them a little bit loose because there's some room for movement there. We're not sure exactly where our engine's gonna sit in its final resting place until our engine's sitting in its final resting place. So we're gonna do that now. Ready, Bogi?
I am ready.
All right, eyes on the prize.
All right.
I love that lift.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Coming forward probably a little bit. Actually, go ahead and stop right there for a second.
Yeah.
Keep it coming. Same. This is like perfect.
I'm lined up on this side.
Me too.
Beautiful. There we go.
Yeah, girl.
Okay. All right.
The girls made that engine install look easy. What's not going to be easy is getting those headers to fit. Do they go in from the top or the bottom? We'll find out after the break.
Over time, the fuel system on gasoline engines will naturally develop deposits and varnish buildup. You can clean your fuel system. This concentrated one-tank cleaner goes to work on the fuel injectors, combustion chamber, and intake valves to get rid of all of that carbon and varnish buildup and to lubricate the upper cylinders. Hot Shot's secret has seen tests that resulted in almost 8% better fuel economy after using this additive. So get your engine's fuel economy back with Gasoline Extreme from Hot Shot's secret. Hey guys, welcome back to All Girls Garage. We got our 71 Cutlass here, and we are working on our swap in a box. Our LS has slid nicely into place. There's actually a ton of room in this engine compartment. It went in really easily.
I got a little excited to take it off my pull-up packs. Actually, funny thing, I realized yours were a little closer to the booster than mine were even close to the box.
So. Always better safe than sorry is what I always say. First things first, manifolds. Look how pretty they are. Headman headers. I think we might be able to get this in without removing anything.
Awesome.
Maybe. Actually, maybe.
What?
No, that is not going to happen. Okay, I spoke too soon. I either have to remove the steering column, or I wonder if it might be able to go in from the bottom easier.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, once you get yours in place, would you mind helping me out and one of us can slide underneath?
Of course, not a problem. Let me just
I don't want to scratch this up.
Here so that it's not dangling.
Boom!
Yes.
Now is time for everybody's favorite part of the job, wiring. The nice thing about this, though, is, again, why LSs are nice, is because you can get the control module, you can get the wiring harness, it's plug and play. We were able to get this from the same place where we got the engine. Now, one thing is, if you know me, I like a clean engine compartment. I want to minimize the amount of stuff that's in the engine compartment. So, while we do have to put the control module inside the engine compartment, the fuse block, we didn't want to have in there. We want to minimize how that wiring is going to look. So the fuse block, we're actually going to set underneath the dash area and feed our harness through the firewall. The problem is the harness came already terminated with all of the electrical connectors needed. So that's not going to fit through our firewall hole. What we had to do, because it wasn't an easy, simple de-pinning of things, wound up de-pinning what we could, these wires down here, and the rest of it, we cut. Now, to keep ourselves, matter of matching 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, pretty easy. Lots of solder, a lot of shrink tubing, everything will be nicely protected inside the box so we don't have to worry about this causing any issues down the road. But this will fit nicely through a hole in the firewall. I'm gonna route that last. I want to get everything connected first and see where it's going to make more sense for us to route this, if we want to utilize a hole we already have or make a new hole and tuck it somewhere neatly, but this is kind of the starting point. So, okay.
Check out this lovely all-aluminum radiator that we picked up from OPGI. This is a cold case radiator, and this is all the stuff that it comes with. These two 12-inch fans, electric fans that mount into this freaking lovely shroud. Oh, this is probably my favorite part about the whole thing, aside from the fact that it's like, you know, beautiful, TIG welded. Oh, just like gorgeous. And I kind of want this for myself. Normally, this is something that I would do last in an engine swap situation. Well, I mean, not put everything together, but put the radiator in, because radiators, especially really nice aluminum ones, they can be a little fragile. With our lovely swap in a box, we know where everything already is. The front of the engine's already assembled. We're not going to be messing with the drive belt. We're not going to be messing with any tensioners, or really all that we have left in the front, I think, figuring out the position of the airbox, and having this in place is actually going to help with that, so.
God, that's a tight fit. Yeah, right there would be beautiful.
The work is almost done under the hood, so Bogi and Faye turn their attention to the interior and start getting the center console in place so one day they can get this 442 back on the street.
So I needed new brakes for my 4Runner, and because I wanted an upgraded set of pads and rotors and brakes that were going to last, I went with PowerStop's Z36 Truck and Tow Brake Upgrade Kit. This brake kit comes with everything that you need to perform an entire brake job, from brake pads, rotors, and even premium stainless steel hardware that's easy to install. To help dissipate heat, the zinc-plated rotors are drilled and slotted, which helps with heavy-duty towing applications, like towing a boat, for example. The ceramic brake pad is reinforced with carbon fiber to provide extra stopping power without affecting drivability. Plus, the low-dust formula will keep your wheels looking good.
Welcome back to All Girls Garage. We've got our 71 Cutlass in the air now. We've got our LS sitting in there. Wiring is mostly completed. Radiator is in. And now we realize that we had a minor brain fart in realizing that we built this transmission tunnel based on where the new transmission, was going to sit, mated up to our replacement for the transmission with the new engine. So important first step first is making sure that our bell housing is going to have clearance, and then we can start mucking up the transmission and get our hole cut for our shift linkage in the tunnel. Hopefully we don't have to undo what we've already done. But let's see if that... Oh, man. There we go. That's close. But it fits, so it's tight, but it's got clearance, and that's all that matters. So beautiful. So next thing is I'm gonna get this mounted up to our transmission. We'll get it in place, start figuring out where our hole needs to be, and do kind of the same thing that we did last time we tried to install this transmission. All right. All I'm doing is marking with a couple of dots the kind of edges of where our shifter needs to hit, or sit, I should say. And then we can pull this back down, get up inside the car and take a look at where that translates to inside the vehicle, and
Make a game plan.
one step forward.
Well, this is a familiar situation, and if you are a loyal viewer of the show, then this may look a little bit familiar for you too, except I think I had different color hair the last time I was sitting in here talking about the problem that we were having after we sort of test fit this transmission tunnel, and that was the original center console. After test fitting it and thinking, oh man, this center console looks pretty great, I realized that the motion of our shifter going into fifth gear was not going to work with the hole that was in the original center console. We were like, well, we could trim it, we could and it was just gonna look crappy. After talking with the owner, we're like, let's see if we can find something different. And just as I alluded to previously, I was able to find this beautiful center console online, actually from OPGI, and this fits a similar to your Chevelle and El Camino. Yes, this is gonna work out great. Not perfectly though, because if you may recall, this was converted and now it's converted again. So originally it was a column shift, then it became a floor shift. So this actually isn't even the perfect center console for this car, so we're going to still have to do a few modifications to it. Now, if this car was originally a floor shift, this would probably fit perfectly, but it wasn't. So I'm going into this knowing that this might have to be modified a little bit so far, but that's not the most important part. The most important part is figuring out how to fit our shifter in here so that it works out well. Be obviously sitting on the transmission, but remember Bogi and I made those dots below, and actually getting the transmission down, taking a look up, I was able to see that where this center hole is lined up almost perfectly with this spot right here. So, and well, slightly opposite. This is just, I'm eyeballing this right now, just to make sure that if I was to put this in position, imagining that I'm the driver sitting here, does this location first of all, makes sense. If I'm shifting through all the gears, am I going to hit anything? And, well, let me just pretend again. So shifting through all the gears, and this is, not only is this position make sense for the driver, steering wheel shifter, but also I'm not going to be smashing my fist into the radio. So I'd say this is a win. We just have to cut a hole, and I think it's going to work out great.
Before the hole gets made for the shifter, the girls have some other problems to address, like getting clean fuel to the new crate engine and finding a way to convert an analog signal to a digital signal with new gauges.
While Faye continues to make headway figuring out the shifter, I thought I'd show off and start working on our lovely new gauges. These are Dakota digital gauges that we got from OPGI, and what's kind of cool about them, they're called the VHX series, which loosely stands for Vehicle Hybrid System, because X and system, sure, we'll go with it. Anyway, what it is basically a hybrid between digital and analog. So we've got a analog looking display. It looks classic. It's going to fit with the period of the vehicle, but it's all digital readouts. So you're getting way more accurate readings, but they're getting the digital signal from an analog sensor, which is kind of confusing. So we're going to use all of the original sensors that would have been used on this vehicle, converting that to a digital signal via this control module that's going to go into our instrument cluster with a analog looking digital readout that you can program and initialize and mess with on an app on your smartphone. First things first is getting the old one out of here. All right. I'm going to set this in there, and then at some point I'll go back in and I'll clean up all of that old wiring that we no longer need, because I don't want to leave it all messy in there. But for right now, this is just mocking up purposes, and to show you how cool they're going to look. There we go. All right. That is going to sit just like that. So this was specifically, obviously, made for all sorts of makes and models, so kind of cool.
All right, so quite often with great projects come great problems, and here's another one, surprise, surprise. So now that we've got this fuel tank down, we're actually able to take a look at it. We realized that the fuel pump setup that we had chosen months ago isn't going to work. Let me show you why. So first of all, this tank sits flush up against the body. There's like no wiggle room at all. I mean, you saw how difficult it was for us to sort of wiggle in and get these things disconnected, which is why I just sort of cut some stuff. But this unit, which should, in theory, this is what we had picked out originally, good for EFI conversions, for returnless or returning fuel system setups. However, look at how tall this is. So originally I thought, we're probably not going to need this fuel leveling sending unit. The new fuel pump might have it. It does not. We need this. So there's nothing I can do to modify the fuel tank to maybe make a recess and have this thing fit in there. And we're like, wait a second. This has probably been done before. So we decided to search the interwebs, and lo and behold, right on OPGI's website was the perfect solution. There is this beautiful fuel tank that is, first of all, a lot prettier than this, but it already comes with the exact fuel pump that we need and the fuel level sending unit built into it. So we're going to go with that option. Now, of course, we still have to ship that there, get it approved by the customer, so on and so forth. I'm going to get this ordered. And Bogi's been working really hard, like running around over there doing something. So I think she has another plan for this project that I'm unaware of. So let me check in with her and give OPGI a call, get this thing ordered. See ya!
So basically, I heard that you said that we needed to order a new tank and pump. Mm-hmm. And so there was no way that I was going to let these fine folks down a second time and not be able to see this or hear this, at least running. So I concocted some madness.
Yeah,
I've got a rough semblance of an intake and MAF sensor.
That's not the final resting spot?
Don't judge us. That's not permanent.
Okay. Right.
Another thing that is not the final resting spot is our gas pedal, because this is a totally logical place for a gas pedal, right?
Yeah, perfect.
I also remember we said that we were going to put the fuse box inside. It's gonna be at some point, but I wired in a bulkhead connector, so it'll be an easy, and for right now I can mess with it
really
here.
Smart.
I had an extra hanging fuel pump laying around in the shop that was already set for LS pressure. So I have that hooked up. I was able to run the fuel lines, and I've got break-in oil in there, no coolant, so we can't run it for long. But I think we are at the point where we can actually start this up. I should have ignition and starter control right here.
Butt off over here. I'm impressed. All right, so
you ready?
Yeah.
All right. No promises that this is going to work, but I'm hopeful. All right. So fuel pump. Sound of that, especially with no exhaust on there.
Oh my God, yeah.
That is amazing.
We should play that. No, but actually, I'm really glad that you did this because, like sometimes when you're working on a project for an extended period of time, sometimes you kind of like forget or like, it falls into the periphery of your life in a sense. Like you forget how much meaning it has to you. You kind of lose your enthusiasm, your excitement for it. And doing little things like this, well, I mean, little for me because I just walked over here. You've been working your butt off for a while, but doing something like this really reinvigorates the project and
100%.
like has kind of reignited my passion for the project in a way. So
well, good, because I'm going to need your help to get this thing done, man.
Great, I'm ready.
I'm stoked that it started. I'm so glad you guys got to hear it. I'm glad I got to hear it. I'm glad you got to hear it. Now we're going to dig in and get this done. For now, we sign off. So we will see you guys next time. All right, where do we start? There's so much more to do.